The Nintendo Direct has come and gone, and with it came not one, but two trailers for Xenoblade Chronicles 3's DLC. Wave 3 will have a DLC character and a roguelike challenge mode, which I'm pumped for personally. However, to my surprise, shock, and possibly jubilation, they also gave us a teaser for the Wave 4 story DLC. And it wasn't even a minute long, but it had so much packed into those precious few seconds that my mind has been running a mile a minute trying to play catch up with everything that we know so far. When they said that Xenoblade 3 would be the culmination of the Klaus arc, I thought they were talking thematically, but with this teaser, I have realized that while the base game was a thematic culmination of everything Xenoblade has tried and tell us over the years, this Wave 4 DLC may be way more literal with its idea of a culmination, and to quote Xenoblade 3's senior director, Tetsuya Takahashi, the conclusion of the Xenoblade story that began with Klaus's experiment. Because from the looks of it, this DLC seems to be the finale of the stories of Shulk, Rex, and the Trinity Processor, or at least Alvis. With this trailer and upon further reflection, the pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fall into place, and while we don't have a completed puzzle or hell, even all the pieces yet, a picture is beginning to form in my mind. Because remember, and this is something that is commonly misconstrued from the quote that I just mentioned, Takahashi didn't say this was the end of the Xenoblade story, but the Xenoblade story that started with the Klaus experiment. And he goes on in even the same email, and I will quote here, and again, in the link in the description down below, I'll have a link to this. While it is a conclusion, that does not mean it is the end of the Xenoblade series. It is just a stopping point in my mind. I think that everyone who played this title, and the additional stories in the expansion pass, can imagine what lies in the future for Xenoblade. That reads to me that there is information within 3, and its DLC stories, plural by the way, and that will be brought back up, that can signal to us where the story will go from here. 3 can serve as a conclusion, but it isn't the end. And with that context, we can make some theories for this upcoming DLC. And I'm gonna need multiple videos for all of these theories, so buckle up. Okay, so I think it's a safe bet to say that the DLC is a prequel story. Could they throw a curveball and have part of the story at least be a sequel or come after the events of 3? They absolutely can. They were very particular with what they showed here. Could they even really try and blow our minds and have one of the scenes from the trailers be a follow-up to 3 and take place after the activation of Origin and after the events of 3? They could. It's possible. Unlikely, but it is possible. Okay, so we saw Shulk and Rex, and the character who is from House of Vandom, who I'll refer to as Faye because he looks like the character from Xenogears, all of whom are depicted in the Founders Room as statues because they wear the same clothes and mostly the same hair. Shulk's has grown out some more in the statue compared to the trailer, and Rex hasn't lost an eye yet. One theory that I've seen brought up in my comments over the last few months was that Alvis was actually Moebius A, and I tend to lean in that direction as well now, mainly because of this trailer. I always thought it was, hey, that's a cool little idea, it's a cool little theory, I'm not sure how much I actually believe it. Hey, the dude looks like he's probably going to be Moebius A. Now, I don't think or even know if Alvis will make a full turn to villainy, but something clearly happens which has him be antagonistic to Shulk and Rex, at least for a moment. Alvis himself coming back was one thing, but having everything surrounding him ups the number of questions that I have exponentially. 1. Why the hell does he have the Zanza wings? 2. Why the hell does he have the original Monado from Xenoblade 1, which was also Zanza's? 3. What the hell is he in front of? My stream chat from the Nintendo Direct pointed out that it ominously looks like the Fogagate from Future Connected, and I don't think that's by coincidence, and clearly to me there's a connection there. Get it, Future Connected? For free with education. I digress. I never bought the idea that the Fog King was just some stuff from Mortha seeping into the world of Xenoblade 1. I've seen it come up a few times, and to me the Fog King and the Fog Beast in general always felt like the introduction of a new antagonistic entity or faction that they were trying to slow burn into the lore. I get that the model of the Fog King is apparently from Mortha, but to me, I still don't buy it that it's just from Mortha. I feel that there's something more going on here, and that we're going to learn more with this DLC. So for today's video, I want to cover specifically Alvis. Like I said, this trailer is filled to the brim with teasers and little things to rip apart, so a video on the House Fandom guide at the end will come in the coming days, as well as where I think the overall story for this DLC will go. But for now, Alvis is apparently a villain, at least for a bit of time. It's hard to tell, but I have two theories that, to me, the most important and underlying aspect I feel they really need to nail here is they have to stick the landing here. The story of Xenoblade 1 is incredibly well renowned, and it's also just flat out incredible in my opinion, and going back and potentially turning Alvis into a villain could recontextualize the original game, and compromise the theme and motif that was going on there. And they need to be careful here to not have this feel unnatural or forced, or detrimental to the story we have so far. I've been burned in this regard before, with series that I love taking beloved characters and turning them into villains. Look, I was a Halo fan after all, I know this pain all too well. But I tend to put more faith in the writers behind Xenoblade than most other franchises, and they haven't let me down yet. So I'm sure they have a plan for this, and it's probably going to be a good plan. So, without further ado, theory number 1. Alvis is being mind-controlled, or at least manipulated. I feel that the offending force behind this theory would have to be Zed, and have him be the puppet master, like he would have to be the one controlling Alvis. You could have X or Y do it, I just feel like Z is the better call here. Would be a good chance to inject more character into Z, who is really just there to force N along in the base game, and serve as the big JRPG end boss bro. You really flesh his character out and just make him feel like more of a force of nature than just some dude who sits in a chair for a bit. Now, how or why Alvis gets mind-controlled or manipulated is another story, but assuming the doubt and collective anxiety of two worlds is enough to summon forth Zed, potentially he would have enough power or sway to overwhelm Alvis, who is now living in a conduit-free world, and be forced to do Zed's bidding. Now, what is the goal of that? Potentially to gain access to Origin in some way? We know Zed eventually gets control of Melia and imprisons her and uses her key to control Origin as Nia goes into hiding, but how Zed overwhelms Melia is a mystery, and Alvis could be the answer. I don't remember if they explained this in the base game either, but maybe Alvis is Melia's key. So Zed's using Alvis to gain control of Origin. I could see that transpiring. Perhaps since Alvis is a core of the Trinity process of the Bionis world, had to use him somehow in the blueprint of Origin, or for some reason Alvis is integral to Origin's success for Zed. Taking control of him under those theorized conditions could aid Zed in getting from point A to point B, into getting us from the ending of Xenoblade 1, Future Connected, and 2 to 3. I'm not entirely sure how much I buy this theory myself, but it's plausible. Just would require some more exposition on their end, which they could easily do. Also, I'm liking this Alvis being the key for Melia bit. Also, how or why Alvis is using the Zanza Wings or Monado 1 is another question. Without the conduit, I imagine they're just more so how Alvis chooses to visualize his power when fighting, and on actually the real things. Because again, those mechanics kind of relied on the power of the conduit, which isn't there anymore, that we know of. Bear in mind, Alvis's core crystal is glowing in the trailer. What does that mean? Does it just mean that he's utilizing some kind of power, or he's tapping into the conduit somehow? That's up for debate. We really don't know yet. And how does the Fog Gate factor into this? Good question. Not really a good answer yet. But potentially Alvis uses it as reinforcements, or is channeling into that kind of power source for some big move, or as a replacement for the conduit. There's a ton of possibilities here. And the other theory comes courtesy of Martin C98 from the comments on my reaction to the trailer. Again, link in the description down below to that video. And the theory goes, I made a theory a few months ago, and this trailer almost confirms it. My theory was about Zed's origins. I'll explain it. Zed is said to be the incarnation of human desires. However, we ask ourselves, how could human desires become Zed? Well, at the end of Xenoblade 1, Shulk became a god. And as a god, he wishes to create a world without a god. Side note, we see that at the ending of Xenoblade 1. In this world, humans have the power to decide the future. Alvis's task was to obey Shulk's wish as a god, so he did that, transforming the world to the people's will. So, it was the power of a god in Alvis that created Zed, to change the world to the will of the people. In the DLC events, Shulk isn't a god anymore, so he can't tell Alvis what to do, but Alvis already has his orders. I hope you understand my theory. With this trailer, Alvis is like a villain, so maybe his power is creating Moebius by Shulk's will. I think one of the replies was mentioning how it's kind of like a monkey's paw situation, and I do agree. And that would be an interesting way to go about it. We didn't actually get all that much characterization for Alvis in Xenoblade 1, at least compared to Malos or Numa, especially Numa. And the more I think about it, the more I can see this theory materializing. Alvis was originally a core of the Trinity processor after all, and remember the quote from the trailer, "He's a machine," or something along those lines, and that could be in reference to Alvis. Though I'm not sold on that, I kind of think they put that line in the trailer to throw us off and steer us into the wrong direction, or maybe I just played too much Final Fantasy XIV and Nier. But screw it, let's lean into it. Alvis never really had a true human connection made that we know of. Sure, he knew Shulk and struck up conversation and was on friendly terms with him, but he never had a connection like Logos or Numa did. Logos took after Malthus. He was Logos' driver after all, he was Malos' driver. And Malos absorbed his nihilism and pessimism like a sponge. Numa, or Pyra and Mithra, learned to be kind and, well, human, from Adam and Rex. Alvis never had that. Like, the closest he had was maybe Zanza, or maybe the Hyentia. But there's also a little scene from Torna, the Golden Country, that I just want to reference and put in the back of everybody's mind. When Mithra was overwhelmed with emotion at the end of the game in the final boss fight, she reverted to almost an AI level of ruthlessness, where she was singularly driven by her fight with Malos at the end, which causing collateral damage. She lost her humanity for a bit and reverted to the machine. It's possible that Alvis, instead of forging a connection that strongly with any one person, took the combined fear and doubt of all the world's humans and absorbed them like a sponge, and decided the way of Moebius was the correct one, to at least preserve humanity and preserve that world without gods that Shulk wanted to create, instead of, risking total annihilation with going with the origin plan. Or Alvis became overrun by those emotions, is just running through an algorithm of things he believes will protect the world, like that one Mithra scene, where Mithra was solely driven to fight and exterminate Malos. Potentially Alvis is solely driven to quote-unquote save the world, and he believes the best way to do that is by joining Moebius and creating Ionios, the perpetual, the endless now. And with Shulk and Rex standing opposed to Moebius, becomes their enemy. Cue the song from Metal Gear Rising. Standing here, I realize you were just like me, trying to make history. Look, I know we're not getting that song in the game, but I'm just saying I will be blaring in the back of my mind whenever this scene comes up. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot to unpack in just these, I think it's around 30 seconds of trailer that we have for Wave 4. There's so much here, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is literally just Alvis' motivation. There's so many other things to unpack, and those videos will come in the coming week. So, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. If you liked the video, please leave a comment down below with your own thoughts, your own opinions, your own theories pertaining to what you think will happen in Wave 4 of the DLC. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video and you want to see more content. It really helps me out and really supports the channel. And hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload in the future. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.